Hey doc, my balls hurt, and when I pee it stings.
Well, that sounds like a personal problem.
I know, but her booty was booming, and I need that antidote.
Well, you probably need to go to the free clinic.
Hey doc, I'm back. Here's my prescription.
Ew, you got gonorrhea. That's the gangster STD. A couple years from now, there might not be any treatments for that. I'll page you when it's ready.
Straight up. Mr. Scott, Mr. Travis Scott, your prescription for gonorrhea to treat that dirty penis is ready at the pharmacy. Thank you.
Welcome to Druggy Nation. We're the bridge between everything pharmacy and pop culture. And now, let's check in with your connect and America's favorite pharmacist, Emmanuel Vogirin.
I couldn't resist the autotune, guys. I'm sorry. Hope everybody's having a good day and a great week so far. If this is your first time listening to the Small Doses podcast, this is basically where I focus on a particular condition and also talk about relevant pharmacy and health news. Now, that opening skit was for every time people come into the pharmacy looking for me to be the medical doctor and pharmacist. Like, we're not Walmart. This ain't the one-stop shop for diagnosis and treatments. And FYI, guys, antibiotic resistance is real. And there's only one last treatment for gonorrhea. So if you get that in the future, there might not be any treatments for you. So good luck on that one. All right, enough of that. So let's get to the main topic of today, which is allergy season. And by that, I mean pollen allergy. And what's pollen? Pollen is basically what's needed for plants to grow. So it's kind of necessary. So allergies develop when your immune system mistakenly identifies a substance such as pollen as harmful. So your body wants to protect itself, so your immune system makes antibodies, which releases chemicals such as histamine to defend the body. And these chemicals in turn cause the allergic reactions, hence why we have antihistamine drugs. For me personally, my allergies hate runs deep. I have to use 3 treatments, and I'll tell you that later on. We'll talk about OTC treatments. But I never used to have allergies, and it only started when I moved to Western Mass for pharmacy school a few years back. So what are some symptoms? You can have itchy eyes, watery eyes, runny nose, sneezing, a stuffy nose, and wheezing. Now, if you have asthma, allergy season can be a lot worse for you because it can make the symptoms you're already going through with asthma a lot worse when pollen is involved, and that includes wheezing and coughing. So for some OTC treatments, we have OTC medications like Zyrtec, which is generic cetirizine. We got Claritin, which is loratadine. We got Benadryl, Xyzal, Clarinex, Benadryl, and Allegra 180 milligrams to name some of the more popular ones. Some of the more common side effects are dizziness, dry mouth and nose, throat, feeling nervous, sleepy, or drowsy. But the biggest advantage with these meds I mentioned, except Benadryl, is that they're non-drowsy. If you're also congested with allergies, you can try Zyrtec D, Allegra D, and Claritin D, which are all available behind the counter in the pharmacy. And you need a valid state-issued ID, like a license to purchase in the pharmacy, because America don't want you making homemade meth and stuff. There's also Flonase and Nasacort. Both are available over the counter, and these are steroid sprays that are really effective in reducing inflammation and mucus and provide symptom relief, but these may take a few days to really start working. So it's recommended that people with allergies, especially bad allergies like myself, should start taking these medications a few weeks before allergy season actually starts. And that leads me to my horrible allergies. So like I said before, I've never had allergies as a kid. It was only when I became an adult and really in my early 20s, which is important to mention because a lot of people, including myself, always thought that if I didn't have allergies as a kid, then I'm immune to allergies for the rest of my life. And that's a negative. So you can get it at any age, but most commonly, adults can get allergies for the first time in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. So if you're in that age group and you still having allergies, there's still some hope for you, okay, to suffer like me. So I would basically have to pregame with Zyrtec and Flonase and Aloe eye drops a few weeks before allergy season started, just so I could survive that shit. For those that don't like taking drugs, there are some home remedies and preventative steps you can take to reduce allergy symptoms. You can keep the windows closed during high pollen season. You can try HEPA filters in central air conditioning vents to help filter out pollen from the air. You can change clothes each time you come back from work outside. Take a bath or shower each night before going to bed to get rid, of any pollen on the skin and the hair. And you can also wash your bedding, in hot, soapy water at least once a week. Man, that sounds like a lot. Just give me the drugs. Other home remedies that may help to fight a pollen allergy include drinking herbal teas made with ginkgo and milk thistle. Basically, they have anti-inflammatory effects, which might reduce allergy symptoms. You can try using nasal saline irrigation tools like a neti pot or the saline nasal spray. So hopefully that gives you guys a start on how to deal with those allergies, because allergy season is right around the corner. Okay, so now I want to switch gears and talk about some stories I found interesting in the news that are health related. So the first one I found was Big Pharma trying to help but really hurting us. So you guys know how Purdue Pharma, which is the big pharma company based in Connecticut that makes OxyContin. So a recent article was published in the U.S. News and World Report that basically stated that the company may have helped inadvertently spread hepatitis C. Now, the study suggested that in an effort to make the opiate painkiller OxyContin harder to abuse back in the day, Purdue Pharma made the OxyContin pills harder to crush or dissolve. This made it harder to snort or inject for a fast high, and that drove addicted patients to heroin and caused a dramatic increase in hepatitis C. Now, the reason that's important is because Hep C causes liver disease, and it's responsible for more deaths in America than any other infectious disease. So if you want to find out more about that story, you can look at the U.S. News and World Reports about the Hep C and Big Pharma. Another news I found interesting was anti-vaxxers. So for all my parents out there against vaccinating their kids, thanks to you, there's a global measles outbreak and in states in the Northwest in places like Oregon, Portland, and Washington. So at least 35 people have been diagnosed with the virus in those areas and surrounding Portland since January, and 11 more cases are suspected. So most of the patients are children under the age of 10, and one child has been hospitalized. So the reason vaccinations are important is that it's not only for your protection, but also for the community around you, because it's necessary to protect the very young and those with weaker immune systems. So that's why adults have to get a Tdap shot before you can even be around a newborn baby, right? The number of patients refusing to have their children vaccinated in the U.S. is still small, but research does show that the anti-vaxxers movement is growing. Now, there might be new legislation in some states that I mentioned regarding vaccination requirements. So that's something to keep an eye on, because it could be the first time where lawmakers could consider no longer allowing patients or parents, I guess, to exempt their children from the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine for philosophical or personal reasons. Something to look out for. Another interesting story I found was from Arizona. So a Republican lawmaker wants to declare porn a public health crisis because, quote, pornography is a crisis leading to a broad spectrum of individual and public health impacts, that there's research showing porn to be biologically addictive. So basically, that porn promotes a sexually toxic environment that affects all areas of our society. I mean, I can't really disagree with that there. But what would declaring it a health crisis even mean? Like, there's no legal power. Is it going to be banned, which really isn't an option? People that are against the bill have said that the focus should really be on sex education than anything else. This bill isn't anything new. So Utah was the first state to actually declare pornography a public health crisis back in 2016, and 11 other states have done the same since. Now, I think the bill's intention is to increase awareness and education. And if that's the case, then I have no issue with it. But there's no legal power behind declaring porn a health crisis. Another big story I found was, don't build that wall just yet. So due to the higher cost of medicines in the U.S., insurance companies in Utah, again, are sending their public employees to Mexico for cheaper drugs. So it works like this. So the state of Utah is offering $500 and a trip to Mexico to buy prescription drugs at a cheaper price. So they fly the public employees out to San Diego, and I've been there before. It's super close to Mexico. And then you have a private transportation service that drives you to a hospital in Tijuana to get drugs that meet U.S. standards. And this is all to save the employer about 40 to 60% of what they would normally have to pay. Now, currently, the plan, applies to a specific set of expensive drugs used in the treatment of arthritis, autoimmune disorders, psoriasis, Crohn's disease, and prostate cancer. I mean, people have been going to Canada and Mexico for years to get cheaper drugs, right? I mean, just watch the movie Dallas Buyers Club. But this is the first time that people are actually getting paid by the employers to do so. There's a show on Netflix I like to watch by Hassan Minhaj called Patriot Act. And by chance, they did a mini episode on drug prices, and now it's increasing, in America, increasing drug prices. So if you want like a funny and informative way to learn about these increasing drug prices, I say check it out. Because, I mean, this affects everybody. Drug prices are so high, people actually have to resort to the black market to get their insulin fixed. It's crazy, so check it out. And also be patient, guys. I haven't forgotten. Okay. I'm going to tell you all how I became a pharmacist and other funny pharmacy intern and pharmacy tech stories in future episodes. So just wait on it. All right. So if you like these small doses, let me know what conditions you want the Spark Notes version to next by leaving a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or message me on my Facebook page, Drug E Nation, DRUG-E Nation. And also follow me on IG. It's Emmanuel, EMMANUEL _WOGHIREN. That's Bulgarian. Maybe I'll start posting exclusive content on there, so look out for that. And shout out to all my druggies, #Druggie Nation, #Druggies. Thanks for listening and supporting. Hope you liked the episode. We're just getting started. And with that said, I'm out. Deuces to the next episode.